back at it again, and we've got an interesting one here today. One from residents in LA. Oh, that rhymed, actually. Wow. That was not planned at all. But yeah, you know, in California, there's always some fantastic and interesting answers. Maybe not so much fantastic, fantastically interesting. How about that? But anyway, like, share, comment, hit that subscribe button if you're new. And with all that being said, let's dive in.
You're in charge of it. How high do you go?
I'd go to 20.
Why not more?
I don't know.
Not 100?
No, maybe not 100, but
Everybody could be making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
that'd be cool.
To many, raising the minimum wage seems like a no-brainer. It certainly did to the people we talked to in Silver Lake, a trendy hipster enclave in Los Angeles. If the poorest workers can simply make more money per hour, they'll be lifted out of poverty, right?
So would you mind just, putting an X next to the minimum wage that you'd like to see?
Definitely not $5. Probably not $100. I don't know, I'm guessing
At least he didn't say something completely outrageous like $100. Like, what in the world?
15 kind of seems about right.
Probably $15, $16 an hour, maybe even 17.
Let's go 18 an hour. What a laugh that is. Woo!
Let's go up to $25 an hour. Make it something real. $15 an hour is sustenance wages.
But would supporters change their minds if drastic?
I mean, for any California residents, I know the cost of living out in California is through the roof, of course. I mean, because, you know, that's just the way it goes in California. So, yeah, obviously wages have to be a little bit higher than, you know, some other states. I understand that. But $20 minimum wage, I feel like that's crazy high. Like, what's a doctor getting paid out in California? Like 10 million a year or something, you know what I mean? Like something ridiculous. I don't know. Y'all talk to me in the comment section, but
Drastic wage hikes resulted in some nasty unintended consequences, both for the poor. Change their minds if drastic wage hikes resulted in some nasty unintended consequences, both for the poor and for others.
Honestly, the minimum wage is going to raise, and then everything around it's going to raise, so I don't really know if it makes too much of a difference.
And so what do you think the level of minimum wage should be?
somebody with some common sense. My goodness, at least she knows.
I don't know.
She's in good company. A majority of economists agree that minimum wage hikes cause some increase in unemployment, but the exact outcomes of a particular hike could vary wildly from one local economy to the next, and the results are difficult, if not impossible, to determine.
I don't know what makes economic sense. I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I think that it will be a big adjustment, but people will survive like they always do.
And so do you think that there's a possibility if you raise it too high that people like in, summer jobs or for kids or just intra-level positions that they might have a tougher time getting a job?
They probably will, because then there'll be, I guess, supervisors or hiring managers will start looking more at experience or education because they're paying a little bit more.
There's evidence that young, inexperienced workers are some of the hardest hit by minimum wage hikes. New Zealand acted as a sort of natural experiment. When the government stopped allowing lower wages for younger part-time workers, youth unemployment skyrocketed while the rate held steady among older workers. A similar spike in
unemployment in New Zealand after minimum wage for minors law was passed. Wow. 16 to 17. Ooh. Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. I mean, there's a clear just...
Employment happened when England raised the minimum wage for young workers. And it's not just the young. The people most likely to lose job prospects or hours are the very people the minimum wage is supposed to help. A 2014 Congressional Budget Office report estimated that an increase in the federal minimum wage from its current $7.25 an hour to $10.10 an hour would lead to the loss of 500,000 jobs, mostly among America's poorest workers. And most economic analyses find no connection between a higher minimum wage and reductions in poverty.
Progress causes pain sometimes, I guess, and if it costs a few jobs, that'd be fine. Overall, I think it would be good, though. We need to do it.
Do you think at the end of the day that it would be better for, let's say, lower income people or in entry-level jobs to raise the wage, even if some of them might lose their jobs or have fewer hours?
I think it all balances itself out, right? So some people lose their jobs. If you don't lose your job, you get shorter hours. You don't get as many hours. So obviously that kind of balances itself out there. But then also businesses start charging more for goods and services. So yeah, you're making more, even if you don't get your hours cut, you're making more, but you're getting charged more as well. So what's the difference? We could have just stayed where we were, and you could have gotten like a side hustle to cover your extra expenses, or got a second job to cover your extra expenses. I feel like people are afraid of work these days. It's kind of strange to watch, though. Anyway, let's continue.
Overall, it would be a better thing.
So if people lose their jobs, would you still like to see the minimum wage doubled?
No, not really. I mean, then there'd just be more unemployment, right? And then, so it kind of doesn't work out that way either.
Silver Lake is a part of LA known for its quirky local businesses and its coffee shops. The kind of place...
Quick question. What do you guys think the federal minimum wage should be? They just spoke on it. It's $7.25 right now, the federal minimum wage. What do you guys think it should be? No minimum wage at all? Should it be $8? Should it be $5? Talk to me in the comment section, please.
Where people are willing to pay a premium to avoid products deemed overly corporate.
Where is that from?
This is from Intelligentsia Cafe.
Oh. What's that?
It is a coffee shop.
Right here, local?
Right here, local.
Why do you like it?
Because it's great quality. It's local. I've been coming here since the day they opened.
Is it expensive? How much was that?
For most people, they would consider this expensive. It was $9.50 for a cup of tea, a cup of coffee.
Can I ask, what's the most you've ever spent on a shirt?
On a shirt?
$9 for 2 cups? Yo! I knew there was a reason I never rocked with coffee too much. I mean, I'll drink it, but I've never gone anywhere and bought a cup of coffee. It's always been somebody had some, or my mom was making some at home or something. And I was like, you know what? Hey, let me get a cup of coffee. Just I can literally count on one hand the number of times I've drank coffee.
Oh my God. Let's just say more than $200.
Yeah, I don't want to say
Wait, what?
Let's hit.
On a shirt? Oh my God.
Ask, what's the most you've ever spent on a shirt?
On a shirt? Oh my God.
Shirt?
Let's just say more than $200.
Yeah, I don't want to say how much.
Let's say that. Okay, yeah.
But these kinds of local businesses are exactly the types of places minimum wage critics argue are often hurt most because they don't have a corporate parent to lean on.
Well, see, Pollo Loco is a corporation. Everything is turning corporate.
Do you think increasing the minimum wage could accelerate that, turning corporate, if they're the only ones that can take that hit?
It seems logically speaking that would be the case.
Do you think that there would be any issues with, businesses closing as a result?
Yeah, definitely. Right here was Casbah Cafe, but that just closed. Rent is getting too high for all these places to survive.
If the trade-off is that, some smaller places that can absorb that money, that they would have to close, do you think that that's worth it?
That's a shame, but I feel like maybe there could be a government loan or a subsidy or something that could help.
There are at least 2 options.
You still got to pay that money back. Yeah, you can't afford to stay here and pay your employees. So yeah, the government could just give you a loan. You're still in the same situation with even more debt over your head. Unless there's something that I'm missing in that equation. That was just off the whim. But I feel like that's putting the business owner in a worse situation. You already can't afford the situation you're in because minimum wages have gotten hiked. And some of the costs to rent have gone up as well. So now the government comes in and says, hey, here's a loan for you. We know you can't afford to stay here, but here's a loan. I feel like that's a terrible idea, but that's just me. Y'all let me know in the comment section. Maybe I'm totally wrong. I don't know.
On our survey that nobody chose. $100 and...
Something that could help.
There are at least 2 options on our survey that nobody chose. $100 and 0. But why not abolish the minimum wage altogether?
What do you think would happen if there were no minimum wage?
People would, there would be slave labor because people are monsters.
Why not get rid of the minimum wage?
Because then I think bosses might lower, what they give as a minimum.
They would have people working for nothing if they could.
Would abolition of the minimum wage really lead to slave labor in Silver Lake? And could there be legitimate arrangements where people work for little or no money because it gives them the chance to gain valuable experience or make important professional contacts? After all, people pay thousands of dollars to work state-sanctioned, university...
Sheesh. What the? Whoa, look at that number.
Sponsored internships. And many may prefer to work in a small bookstore or nonprofit over a fast food job, even if they earn less. So how are people who lack the time, money, and, dare we say, privilege to attend college supposed to get a foothold in a job market that more or less outlaws internships, apprenticeships, volunteering, and other customizable arrangements that simply aren't worth $15 an hour to any employer?
People will work if they're desperate to work. I'd work for less if I had to in a pinch. Some say I have.
Those people, they shouldn't be allowed to say, yeah, I'll work for $3 an hour.
I mean, they can on the low, but not legally, no. Not like a regular business, but yeah, if you want to give me $5 to run an errand for you, I might do it. Yeah, you want to buy me coffee right now? I'm taking it. In fact, please do.
I mean, out there, coffee is higher than minimum wage. I got a question for you. How much is a cup of coffee from Starbucks or something? Let me know. So my thoughts on this whole situation, I should say, is, you know, and we checked out a video with Thomas Sowell, and he kind of touched on this, if I remember correctly, but you start raising the minimum wage, right? It sounds good. Oh yeah, you know, pay everybody. Well, problem is there's a limited amount of money. We can't print, well, we shouldn't. I guess I shouldn't say we can't because we sure can print money indefinitely, all right? We could just print all types of money. But the problem with that is you devalue the money when there's too much of it, but now companies adjust because they have a bottom line. They still have costs that they have to pay for, rent, overhead, all that good stuff. So now they only start bringing in people for part-time work, what I touched on earlier. So instead of you working 40 hours a week, now you're only working 25 to 30. So it balances itself out anyway. That's the way that I see the situation going. And if there's no way that they can do that, then they just shut down the business. So now, instead of having a job where you are actually getting paid, you had your minimum wage hiked for, 1 or 2 months while the owner of the company tried to figure out the financial situation. And then the job left. Because the owner figured out, yeah, there's no way to make these numbers work. So now you're out of a job. And there's no job that's coming in. There's no company that's coming in because they realize, hey, these other companies left because they couldn't afford to stay in that location because of the minimum wage there. So now you're out of a job. But you guys can let me know in the comment section if there's been a situation, where you live that's happened, like that, similar to it. Let me know. Or if there's been studies on it, talk to me. But I feel like that is the type of situation that would happen. But of course, I could always be wrong. But as always, thank you guys for tuning in once again. Thank you guys for all of the continued love and support. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Like, share, comment, hit that subscribe button if you're new. Peace and love. I'm out.